Anyone who's had little kids know that when a child wants attention, they really don't care whether it's good attention or bad attention. So if you don't give them what they want, don't be surprised if you get a temper tantrum. Could we be doing that to ourselves? Let me ask you a question. Are you where you want to be in your career or finances? Have you achieved at the level that you aspire to? I know I still haven't. I used to say that I feel like a race car with the parking brake on, but I don't know how to release it. Perhaps we're just putting our attention on the wrong things. Maybe if we were more intentional about the things that we want to accomplish, we would focus our time and attention on those activities that really move us in the direction of our dreams. As Maharishi Mahesh Yogi said, what you put your attention on grows strong in your life. That is the subject of today's Land.MBA podcast.
If there's one thing I've learned in my business career, it's that I don't have all the answers. Look, I'm an ambitious guy, and I like to make progress fast. The secret to achieving success fast is to harness the brain power of other people in the community. That's what the Land.MBA Smart Bar is all about. As veteran investor Jesse Marchand said, the Smart Bar gave me the motivation and knowledge I needed to push through the tough times and accelerate my path to success. Seven-figure investor Mitch Milam likes to say, there's one meeting each week that I never miss. It's the Land.MBA Smart Bar. It's like happy hour with my land investing buddies. I always learn something. So if you want to network with like-minded people, make new friends, learn heaps, get questions answered, answer questions for others, learn new strategies, get accountability, and overall, get inspired while having a great time, check out the Land.MBA Smart Bar. For a short time, podcast listeners can get 20% off the annual plan, which comes to an insane $86 per month. Compare this to other programs which charge $250 a month or more. This is hands down the best deal you're going to find and the best way to invest in your success. So don't wait. Please go to land.mba/mastermind. That's land.mba/mastermind and use promo code podcast22 to join today.
Hello, all you gorgeous entrepreneurial land investors. It is another great day in the world of Land.MBA. I am Howard Zonder, and with my partner, the always chromie-domed David Van Steenkist.
Let's just make that clear in this day and age. Business partner.
Thank you for that clarification. So, my friend, what are we talking about today?
Well, a little bit of mind stuff, some woo-woo stuff.
Oh, we're getting woo-woo-y.
We're getting woo-woo.
And if that's the case, I'm really glad you clarified it's a business partnership.
Right?
But before we go any further, I do want to say thank you for being here. But if you are watching or listening to us on a podcast channel, whether it be Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts, please do give us a 5-star review and subscribe and like. And if you're watching on YouTube or our new Rumble channel, please do the same, especially Rumble. I would really, really appreciate it if you would just subscribe to us on Rumble, because once we hit a certain number of subscribers, it kicks in some new capabilities, which we would love to be able to access. But we need a few more subscribers to be able to do that. So if you could do that, my friend, would be wonderful. So
golden.
So we were talking today, we were reflecting on how important mindset is to success as an entrepreneur. And just to give you a little bit of background on this, I've worked with a couple people over the past 4 or 5 years. And some people, it's just, we've talked about this in other podcasts, some people just come out of the gate and boom, they are like gangbusters. We had one student who sent her first mailer out, got 15 under contract immediately, made like $750,000 in her first year. It was crazy. But we've got other people who have struggled much, much more. And And I really believe that the difference between success at the gate or struggling is it's really about mindset. It's about what you believe about yourself, what you believe you're capable of, what you believe your status in society is, and whether you can break out of that mold. So mindset has a huge impact on whether we're successful, how fast we're going to be successful, and making sure that we are accessing this is the woo-woo stuff, the right energy of the universe, because it is truly amazing how when you put the right stuff out into the universe has a way of delivering. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And I'd like to start by asking two quick questions. So the first question is, whether you're a practicing land investor or an aspiring land investor, you may feel like you're not achieving at the level that you want. So the first question is, why is that? Why do you think you're not achieving at the level that you want? And everybody's, where they want is going to be different. But for you, what is it for you? And are you there? And if not, why? And then the second question is, could it be that you are not being intentional about where you put your attention? We're going to explore that question in particular at a couple different levels, because I think it's going to make a huge difference in how you approach your work, your time, your energy, and everything else in order to hopefully break out of any resistance or any artificial ceilings that are currently holding you back.
Yeah, I love this topic, and it's something that can go a million different directions and could go, down many rabbit holes, but we're going to keep this short form.
You are the king of rabbit holes.
Yes, I like to explore. But, it comes down to habits, comes down to what your past experience is, and those all impact your mindset and your confidence level. You talk about people who shoot out of the gates and people who take a little bit longer. You got somebody that's already successful at something and just really it comes in with their mindset already tuned and they're ready to, sprint when the gates open. And then you have others that, maybe they got laid off, but they've got some money saved up and they're doing this business because they liked what they saw, and it's something they can gravitate towards and think they could be good at. But maybe they're coming in from a good life ass whooping. And we've all had those, right? And it impacts our confidence and our mindset. And so sometimes it takes a little while to build that. But to build that, you got to be intentional. You got to be intentional. So first question, right? Are you being intentional about your attention?
Yeah, because where we put our attention, attention is just a nice fancy word for saying, where are we focusing our energy? And are we focusing our energy, on something that's going to move the ball forward, or are we focusing our attention on something that's helping us to escape from what we fear would be an unpleasant feeling? Or, why do we procrastinate? We procrastinate because if we do it, it's going to be hard and we don't feel confident in doing it. So it's just easier to sit down and watch Matlock. That's how the president does. I don't know what
you're dating yourself.
No, I was just going to make a presidential joke, so that's what it was.
Oh, okay. Okay, Brandon.
So are you being intentional about where you put your attention? We all have hobbies and habits. I'm a news junkie. I just can't get enough of news. I like to, I don't just read an article. I click on the link. So I like to go down to the source material. I like to understand things and not just take things at face value. All that takes time, right? Am I allocating my time in the way that is going to move my life forward, or am I wasting too much of my time doing something that provides a personal interest, but it's not really helping me achieve my objectives? Yeah, that is a really important question. We all have it. I mean, some people are news junkies. Some people
Social
watch
media.
reels and reels of Instagram or TikTok. I mean, I did get sucked. Speaking of rabbit holes, I did get sucked down that rabbit hole, and I have one person to blame for that, and it's you. It's you, David. Send me these Instagram things, and they're funny, and then I just start scrolling through.
I know, and my buddy sends them to me. I've got like 5 messages when I wake up in the morning, and it's the worst habit in the world to start your day off that way.
Absolutely.
It really is. And then, you spread it to your friends.
Thanks. Yeah, this is terrible. I wish I wasn't doing it. Let me send it to Howard.
Exactly. Let's screw up his morning.
Or maybe you like to watch football on Sundays or Thursday nights or whatever. There was something in I think it was in the 10X rule by Grant Cardone. He was talking about this small business owner, and he really needed to go get $100,000, whether, like in a short-term loan for working capital to cover payroll or whatever. And he was really worried about it. But where was he on Sunday? He was sitting on the couch watching football, and Grant Cardone, in his inimical style, in the 10X rules, you can almost hear him screaming it as he writes it or as you're reading it. He's like, get off the couch. You got things to do. You got important things to do. What are you wasting your time for?
Yeah.
But we all do that. And that's because we are maybe not being intentional about where we put our attention.
Yeah, I can relate to that. I mean, I used to be a sports junkie, and now I couldn't tell you what season it is half the time. But I've just divorced that from my life. I mean, I watch occasionally, but it used to be habitual. I had to turn on, if I didn't see the games on Sunday, I at least had to watch, what do they call it? Sunday countdown, or that's before the games. It's prime time or whatever. After the games on Sunday, I had to get all the scores. And now I could care less. I could give a rat's behind.
I wouldn't mind if I had that sort of ability to, keep ESPN on all the time, but, just focus on my work and, and I can just kind of have it in the background. But I'm not like that. If the television, I'm like drooling. I'm like, I'm like a zombie. Nothing else. The world ceases to exist.
Yeah, I can't do it either. I used to work in an environment where they had the radio on loud all the time, and it's one thing if it was music, but when the news is on or somebody's talking, I just couldn't focus on my work.
So in this first part of the conversation, we're focusing, I think, a little bit more on sort of the productivity aspect of intention versus attention. And it kind of reminds me of, what was it? Was it The 1 Minute Manager? It was one of those books, one of those kinds of books where they had the because all of life can be reduced down to a 2x2 matrix, but it was, are you focusing on what's important, or are you focusing on what's urgent? And we could argue that important equals intention and urgent equals attention. So a lot of times we put our attention on things that seem urgent, but they're not moving the ball forward.
Right. And sometimes urgent is important, but the reason it's urgent is because we didn't put our intention on them. We didn't intentionally put our attention on them when we should have. We procrastinated, and now this thing built up, and it's like, oh shit, I got to get this done. And it becomes urgent, and I hate that, but I do it.
I do it too. I think the worst lesson I ever learned in my life was that there are few mistakes that I can't figure a way to wiggle myself out of. It's actually really bad.
Right.
Because when I think I can't wiggle my way out of it, I mean, that creates a whole lot of intention. But yeah, I remember I was listening, this is back when I was listening to Tony Robbins on cassette tapes and in the car. And he was talking about to-do lists, and he said, don't use to-do lists. This is just, I'm not telling you to use them or not use them. I'm just kind of referencing the story from Tony Robbins. He said, know what your goals are And whether you're thinking in terms of annual goals or monthly goals or weekly goals or daily goals, it doesn't really matter. Know within that time frame what it is that you want to accomplish. Have three, maybe five, but not too many, but have a set of things that you absolutely plan on accomplishing, because in your larger plan, those things roll up to the monthly, roll up to the annual, roll up to your big BHAG goals, your big, hairy, audacious goals. What are those goals? And then ask yourself all the time, no matter what it is you're doing in any given moment, is that activity contributing to one of those goals? If it's not, why are you doing it? It's a really, really good way to look at it, I think.
It really is. It really is. Sometimes I ask myself that question and tell myself, I'll answer that after the next beer.
Because that's when your head's really, really on target.
That's right. Putting off the pain.
I love that joke. What was it? From Bill Cosby. He's like, why do you drink? Because it enhances my personality. What if you're an asshole?
Then I'm an enhanced asshole.
All right. So anyway, that was the productivity side of it, is make sure that you're putting your attention on the things that are your intent. And your intent really are, what do you need to accomplish today or this week or this month in order to move the ball forward from you? And we're speaking more in the business sense, but you could have in your larger vision a number of categories. You could have, this is my intentions with regards to family. This is my intention with regards to physical fitness. This is my intention in regards to my business, and so on and so on. So there's planning involved in this. But the question, or the point is, if you have some goals and you want to move the ball forward, it's really important that you're applying your energy towards those things that are going to move the ball forward. And you can always just stop at any given time and ask yourself, is what I'm doing right now contributing or not contributing towards moving the ball forward?
Yeah, exactly. I'll give you some examples that I see with newbie land investors, for example. When you're first starting out, there's a lot of things to do and you have to prioritize. So on top of learning, you've got to figure out how to mail, you got to research counties, and that's the lifeblood of the business and the most important thing to do, right? Research areas to invest, spend some time picking up the phone and calling locals such as realtors and learning a little bit about the area and reviewing, ads on Land.com and other websites and getting familiar with it, sort of the pricing and whatnot. And then of course pricing your lists. And those are some of the most important things to do. And then of course you're working on your marketing. But those aren't always the most fun things to do, but they're most important. And so staying focused on the goals and what you need to do to move the ball forward helps our mindset to do the hard things first. Because what I see people tending to do first is say, well, I want to start designing my website and work on my logo and whatnot, especially if they're a creative. And it's like, no, you can slap that stuff together pretty quickly. Get your mail out first. And then the 2 weeks when you're waiting for replies, that's when you can work on that crap.
Get the right mail out to the right people with the right price. Everything else can come later.
That's right. Exactly. Forget about your LLC. If you're pressed per time, just do it in your own name the first couple of campaigns and then get your LLC. Get deals and money rolling in.
Exactly.
Anyway, so
let's talk just for a moment about intention versus attention in a larger context. We talk about, you've got to, if you want to get to your goals, you've got to put your attention on the right things, but you also have to have the right goals. Mm-hmm. So having the right intentions really does matter. And we've got a couple examples here, but if your motivation, your sole motivation for being in this business is to make money, that will serve you for a while, but you're going to run out of steam because that's just not a very motivating. I mean, maybe for you it is. I shouldn't speak for other people, but it's just not a very motivating thing after a while, especially once you have some money. You know, like, okay, so my whole purpose in life is to make more money. Um, when you have a purpose that's higher than that, whether it's helping people or solving people's problems, or I don't know, to use Steve Jobs' term, make a dent in the universe. That those are the things that really drive you. Or, you know, or maybe it's I want the money because I want to be able to do X. I want to send my kids to the private school, which, and by the time he goes is going to be about $300,000 a year, and
but that's where it's at. It's your why, and then working backwards from that. It's
the why is where the energy is.
Yeah,
that's what motivates you. That's where you build your vision boards and all of that. But I mean, if you're not clear about what those goals are and then break those down into the smaller things, then it's difficult to put your attention on the right things because you don't really know what the right things are.
Yeah. And even focusing on that dream as well on a regular basis, because it's really easy to, it's December, let's work on my goals for next year. And then you build them and you put them in a drawer, and you're not reviewing both your dream and then the goals are really milestones to get to that dream. And it's got to be out there and putting it in front of you and inspiring you. You should be able to, look at that thing on a daily basis and have that charge you up to prioritize the hard stuff and knuckle down and work on the hard stuff and the stuff that you hate.
Yeah. When Dave and I were starting this business, we talked a lot about sales and how we were going to do sales. And one of the things that we discussed early on was you got to have the right mindset when you get on that phone call. If you get on the phone call on a sales call, whether it's in the coaching business or whether it's in the land business or whatever, and your goal, and as you're getting into that conversation, all of a sudden you're seeing dollar signs in your eyes. Oh, I'm going to make so much money. You're sending the wrong energy out into the universe. And even over the phone, people can just pick up on it. It's just the most amazing thing. But when you have your head straight and you say, you know what, I am getting on this phone call because the person on the other end has a problem that they are trying to solve, and I am going to help them solve that problem with what it is that I offer. And now we're actually doing something positive for them, positive for the community, whatever it is. If you do the right things, the money always follows. And again, that was sort of, to invoke Steve Jobs, I think he really personified that. He talked about how his dad was built, I think it was furniture or something like that. And he would make sure that the inside of the furniture that nobody ever saw was as well done and stained and put together as as the outside that they could see. And Steve Jobs asked him, he's like, Dad, why do you do that? And he goes, they can't see it. And he said, I can see it. I know it's there.
Right.
When you quality, it comes across and the money will follow.
Yeah. And it does come across. I mean, if you've ever been, dealt with a salesperson who is just all about the money, you can tell right away.
Yeah.
And if your mindset is, man, I got to close this deal because I need some money, it's going to come across. It's going to come across somehow, unless you've just perfected your script and you're at being fake and you're really good at it. But even then, you've got to pull that off. And so getting geared up for the call and making sure your mindset is right is absolutely key.
So I just want to end on a bit of a challenge for you. And that is, I'm a big believer, let's not boil the ocean, right? Let's start with something small and manageable and build from it. So my challenge to you is, what are your 3 goals this week that is going to move you and your business and your life forward, but something that can be achieved this week? Put those down on a piece of paper. And every time you do something this week, ask yourself, is what I am spending my time and my energy on right now, is what I'm putting my attention on contributing towards that goal or not.
Yeah.
And then you can make a decision whether you want to continue or not.
I love that. I love that. And you know what? I want to just add on, end on one more Tony Robbins quote. It just came to my mind. And it really, I mean, I don't want to go too far off because we've talked about goals, but that's not our primary focus here. But he says that everybody always overestimates what they can do in a year, but they underestimate what they can do in 5. And I've been thinking about that a lot lately and trying to create stuff 5 years out, and being aggressive on that long term, but backing off a little bit more so I'm more realistic about my 1-year goals. Because sometimes it takes, maybe 18 months to achieve something just because there's things beyond your control, right? Like how long it takes for a piece of property to close because it's got to go through quiet title, things like that. But anyway.
I have one thing to say about 5-year plans. 5-year plans? Communists have 5-year plans.
Where'd that come from?
It was said to me by a great entrepreneur I worked with in a corporate environment when we were asked to put together a 5-year plan. He's like, I'm not doing a 5-year plan. Communists have 5 years. What's your 1-month plan? What's your 1-year plan?
Well, and then there's certainly all the other philosophies like the 12-week year and things like that on breaking it down smaller quarterly goals. You can do whatever you want to do. But I think it really is very true that we probably aim too low in the longer term, and we aim too high in the short term when we're setting our goals sometimes. So
absolutely.
All right.
I'd like to thank you for your time today. As always, we very much appreciate you spending some time with us. We hope you have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next week on the Land.MBA podcast.
Adios.
We hope you enjoyed this episode, had a bit of fun, and walked away with some actionable insights that you can apply to your business. Dave and I have got some great content and interviews planned, so don't forget to rate and review, and of course subscribe to this podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts. If we mention any interesting links or tools, you'll find them in the show notes. To learn more about Land.MBA, visit our website at, wait for it, Land.MBA. See you next time on the Land.MBA podcast.